Welcome back. I am with Abigale Stolfe, owner and attorney, family law expert with Jersey Coast Family Law. And as we stated, if you're in the New Jersey area of the whole state, contact Abby. She is amazing. She can help you with not only the next chapter as you are going through a family law matter that may include litigation, or even just establishing your next steps and providing a strong foundation for your new family through agreements and such. Now, Abby, you mentioned something in the last segment, and being in Southwest Florida, I do not have this experience. So, and I love education. So you mentioned that you deal with a lot of Orthodox families, and this would be the Orthodox Jewish marriages and such. Can you explain to those of us that, there's many in this audience that are looking to you going, well, I'm about to get married. How should I set myself up, even though this is a very highly religious ceremony, to also make sure that it is legally binding as well?
So I think that the Orthodox Jewish community by us is in Lakewood, and it is, I believe, the second largest Orthodox community in the world, second only, I believe, to Israel. So we have a very dense population of Orthodox individuals, and I am personally very grateful that I get to work within the community because the tradition it runs very deep. And the knowledge is amazing. But also I have found that working within the community, with the rabbis, they're also very open to how they can expand their information and their base in incorporating some of the secular theories while still maintaining the tradition that's set forth in their documents and in their agreements. So when a religious individual is seeking marriage, they sign an agreement prior to getting married, and that's part of the religious tradition. And that agreement typically incorporates the religious and biblical obligations of man and woman. So when I'm working with a religious person who has not married in the secular world, meaning a legal marriage within the state, I'm bound by that. I have to look at that document and say, well, what did you agree to? And how did you agree to do it? And what law are we using? Which, by the way, is always biblical law. So that's what we do. Um, and and we do that. However, it would be great if we could begin to have those religious documents viewed in line with what is secular tradition, because a lot of those religious expectations don't really meet the real world demand. So I would suggest that if you are within a religious community and you are someone who in your community, because there's more than just Jewish tradition, right? There's other traditions where you sign pre-agreements. Get to know what your pre-agreement says before you sit down on that very wonderful day to sign it. And find out from your individual rabbi or religious leader or Towen, what can I change? How can I modernize this a little bit? How can I meet the expectations that we have talked about as being what our family is going to look like? Because I don't think that there's necessarily a prohibition on expanding. What I believe is there is a prohibition on eliminating religious tradition. And I think those are two very different requests. Right? As a woman, you cannot go and say, I would like to strike any obligation to have children. That's probably not going to work. But you can ask for other considerations and conditions depending on the number of children you have within a certain time frame, and how can my life look differently, still within the religious expectations.
Again,
So
it is so educational, but also important, especially with the community that you do have. I mean, the second largest uh, population for Jewish population outside of Israel. This is something that your listeners would like to learn more of and be able to then ask for your assistance. And it does go beyond just what is traditionally Orthodox Jewish tradition and such, but you do see that in many like Greek Orthodox, Roman Catholic, which I'm Roman Catholic, what those expectations. And it goes into also, we did talk briefly about the cohabitation agreements, setting yourself up for success in your marriage through a prenuptial agreement, even if it's not. And I would love to hear how you would instruct, let's just say, whether it's a young couple, but I would say more time is that second term person that maybe they decided that, you know what, we found love, we want to be married, we're traditional. So how do you counsel someone through that process of prenuptial agreements in hopes of having a long established until death do us part marriage?
So yeah, the marriage is bliss people. So the marriage is bliss people are the ones who come in and they have established their wealth base. They have established their life. They have established their community. Most times they've established their extended family, meaning that they already have children from a prior relationship. And we could be dealing with a person who lost a spouse, or we could be dealing with a divorcee, or we could be dealing with a first-time marriage, although that's not as common, I don't think. When I'm dealing with a person who's doing it again, and I'm looking at a prenuptial agreement, I'm looking again at this issue of who and what are we leaving things to going forward. So that estate planning aspect, we do have to look at that. And we're looking at how am I going to take care of this person? Should I need to leave a life term to them in the assets? But I'm also looking at that point, not so much in alimony, because you would phase out of alimony at a certain age, but maybe in lump sum distribution at various points in time. So if I'm working with a family who maybe and I'm going to stereotype here, maybe the husband is in a career, he's about to receive a buyout package that's going to total, 2.5 in cash and stocks. And the wife was a mom and she went back to her career, but her primary career was being a mom. So she might have, 300,000 in an IRA. Well, in that case, I know I'm not going to have alimony because we already know intended husband's leaving his job. That's part of the plan. What I might do, however, is say, well, if they stay married for 10 years, we're going to give intended wife $150,000. So now she went from having 500 to 650. If they're married for this amount of time, we're going to move this much more over, so that we're moving money over to intended wife in place of alimony. Because the reality is that when you do start living together, you do develop a certain lifestyle, and that lifestyle does change, but shouldn't necessarily be eliminated by virtue of divorce. So what I'm finding in the second time around agreements is alimony is not as much an issue as how are we going to maintain everyone going into their next phase and grandchildren and traveling to see grandchildren and all that stuff without an income stream that we can talk about in the future.
And it is so important to discuss all these things because some people get a little offended when you bring up prenup. It seems that it's gotten that, that you think we're planning for a divorce, but in fact, it's not. It really is just establishing just some boundaries and structure to the relationship going forward and how things can be maintained if and when someone passes, or also what if the marriage does not last and it does have to be dissolved for whatever reason. Abby, you have been amazing. You have provided us such deep, knowledgeable, educational information, and I am very, very impressed. And I want to make sure that our viewers know, especially those in New Jersey, how they can get a hold of you and what is the best mechanism. Is it by phone, website, what have you? So would you please share with us how would be best for a potential new client to get a hold of you?
Thank you. And I did enjoy this conversation today. You can find me on my website, jerseycoastfamilylaw.com. It provides a lot of background about me. It provides a lot of mission statement and business plan, really what we intend this firm to look like. I tell everyone, look at the website. That's going to give you insight as to who I am and whether we're going to work well together or not. If you look at the website and you find that, yeah, this is someone who I definitely want to work with, you can call us at 732-361-4718. That's our number to direct line in and schedule an appointment so that we can sit down and you can talk to a team member and figure out how we can help you.
And again, that number is 732-361-4718. Abby, thank you so much for being a guest on
Thank
Legal
you.
Talk. It has been a true privilege to have this great conversation. To my viewers, I really hope that you were able to glean, even if you're not in New Jersey and you're elsewhere, glean some of this information, take it in on your own circumstances. As I'm sure Abby will tell you, going through a family law matter does not have to be a vitriolic, nasty fight, though sometimes it ends up being that way. But the most important thing is maintaining what is in the best interest for yourself, for your children, for your family going forward. I am Alina Gonzalez Dockery. I am your hostess, and I am thrilled that I am your new hostess for Legal Talk. And I look forward to seeing you back here on our next episode, where we will be engaging in more thoughtful conversations with other legal experts throughout the United States. Wishing you all a wonderful day.
This has been a Now Media Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.